You can support In the Past Lane by buying some of our merchandise, like t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and stickers. Just go to inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday morning source for history on the go, in just about 5 minutes. We offer this mini-feature every Monday, in addition to our regular full-feature episodes. Here's what happened in American history the week of June 11th, 2018. Let's start with birthdays. June 11th, 1880, that's the birthday of Jeannette Rankin of Montana. Rankin was a women's rights advocate, and in 1916, she was elected to Congress, making her the first woman to hold federal office. She is best remembered for one vote, her vote against Congress's declaration of war against Germany in 1917. A lifelong pacifist, she repeated this vote in 1941 during World War II, when Congress declared war on Japan following the attack on Pearl Harbor. Jeannette Rankin once said, "As a woman, I can't go to war, and I refuse to send anyone else." If you want to learn more about the U.S. in World War I, check out In the Past Lane's episode number 24, where I talked to historian Michael Nyberg about his book, The Path to War. June 11, 1913, that's the birthday of the great NFL coach Vince Lombardi, who was born in Brooklyn, New York. As head coach of the Green Bay Packers during the 1960s, Lombardi won 5 NFL championships and the first 2 Super Bowls. Vince Lombardi once said, "Winning is habit. Unfortunately, so is losing." This week marks the birthday of 2 famous American photographers. The first, Arthur Fellig, better known as Ouija, was born June 12, 1899. And Margaret Bourke White was born on June 14, 1906. On June 14, 1811, Harriet Beecher Stowe was born in Litchfield, Connecticut. Stowe was a member of the Beecher family, a prominent New England family that counted among its ranks many famous preachers. The Beechers were staunch abolitionists, a commitment that led Harriet to write the anti-slavery novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was published in 1852. The book became a bestseller and played an important role in causing many Northern whites to question the morality of slavery. Harriet Beecher Stowe said of the novel many years later, "I did not write it. God wrote it. I merely did his dictation." June 17, 1871 is the birthday of James Weldon Johnson, who was born in Jacksonville, Florida. He was a writer, poet, lawyer, and early civil rights activist in the 1920s. James Weldon Johnson said, "This country can have no more democracy than it accords and guarantees to the humblest and weakest citizen." As for events this week, let's start with the June 12, 1967 Supreme Court decision, Loving v. Virginia. This landmark decision struck down as unconstitutional state laws that prohibited interracial marriage. It read, "Restricting the freedom to marry solely because of racial classifications violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment." June 14th is Flag Day, which commemorates the adoption of the flag of the United States by the Second Continental Congress on June 14th, 1777. And you can learn more about that event in the Past Lanes episode number 13. June 15th, 1904, that's when New York City experienced its greatest disaster before 9/11. The steamboat General Slocum caught fire in the East River and over 1,000 passengers were killed. And I may or may not have written a book about that. And that book may or may not have just come out as an audiobook. It's called Ship Ablaze, The Tragedy of the Steamboat General Slocum. June 17th, 1775, that's the Battle of Bunker Hill. This battle was part of the colonial effort to stop the British siege of Boston. The Patriots lost that battle, but they inflicted heavy casualties on the British. And the bloody engagement boosted Patriot morale, convincing them that they could stand up to professional British soldiers. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to Mildred Loving, the African-American woman who was a plaintiff, along with her husband Richard, in the Loving v. Virginia case just mentioned. 40 years after that decision legalized interracial marriage, she issued in 2007 the following statement in favor of gay marriage. "Surrounded as I am now by children and grandchildren, a day does not go by that I don't think of Richard and our love, our right to marry, and how much it meant to me to have that freedom to marry the person precious to me. even if others thought he was the, quote, wrong kind of person for me to marry. I believe all Americans, no matter their race, no matter their sex, no matter their sexual orientation, should have the same freedom to marry. Government has no business imposing some people's religious beliefs over others, especially if it denies people's civil rights. I support the freedom to marry for all. That's what loving, with a capital L, and loving are all about. Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Time to put it in drive and go make your own history.